So if you ask me, I would say the rut in my area runs from about October 15th to November 15th, about a month long of rutting activity. Now before you get your undies in a bunch, there's different phases of rut. And the first phase is kind of sniffing out the does, checking them out, starting to scrape, showing a little action in that direction. And it just kind of eases through that month. A lot of guys will tell you like the first phase is a chase phase, and then later they go into lockdown and stuff. And I don't really see that, especially with mature bucks. Now I'm not saying they don't lock down, but they're constantly with doe groups. I have a hard time getting on mature bucks in funnels. Yeah, I do. I get on them in funnels here and there. But for the most part, I get on them and stay on them in rut by hunting them near does and hunting them where they move. And one thing that I really learned over the years, and especially lockdown this year, this particular season, is the importance of timing. I'm in a little tiny dead ash tree. I'm 2 sticks up. I'm just above the cover, above the dogwood, just to make a hole to shoot through. This is a piece of private, a small, tiny piece of private, just a few acres. I've always just watched the deer here. I've never had any interest in hunting them. I just enjoy seeing them. And there's a large group of does that come in here every evening. And I noticed some sign picking up last year around rut that bucks were following the does, which you gotta expect, right? So I dropped the camera in here, and now in the last couple of days, really cool looking buck. A 10-pointer with all high tines. Really cool stud of an animal. Now the pictures have been after and before light, but I think he's really starting to prime on these does, and these does are coming in within legal light to a little bit of a degree. So I think he might end up showing early, especially on a day like today when it's overcast and rainy. I think there's a good chance he's up and moving early and comes in and checks this. He's obviously interested in the ladies here, so there's a good chance I'm not getting him on the camera when he comes through here too. There's many trails that don't go by the camera. And I did get one picture yesterday afternoon in daylight before dark of a big buck, but the head was cut off. I think it was him. Now there are several other big bucks coming in here, but he seems to have taken over. There's a lot of young bucks coming through here in daylight. There's one on the camera yesterday at noon. They've got a big scrape right there that's been very active. And there's another scrape right there. And they seem to be coming out of there and out of here into here, but they could come from over there. And there's a trail going through here into this brush. So we'll see what happens. Probably low odds, but it's a pretty big buck. I really only have control of this little spot here, so I can't get too much over to where I think he's coming from. I have some cell cams out, and I've been watching deer groups through the season. And they're showing me that timing. A buck moves in, and if you don't move right in for the kill, that thing's gone in 2 or 3 days onto the next doe group. You gotta move in. So about the beginning of the rut phase, just before October 15th, I had one camera that went nuts, and you guys probably saw the video. I went in and moved in there. I didn't see a big buck on the camera, but I saw a lot of activity around this one doe in this doe group. Mostly small stuff, but I thought something's going on here, and I really didn't have a lot of faith in getting a big buck there, but I didn't have much time, and I thought, well, I'm just going to go observe that. And I sat back a ways, and I knew some does came out there, and I was going to get my doe for the year, put some meat in the freezer. And I did, and I shot the doe, and then there's a big buck standing there, and another one next to it. And I ended up shooting the one and wounding it. But it goes to show you that acting on that actions of that doe, even in mid-October, is a pretty good thing. You know, a lot of people call the October lull mid-October. Now granted, mid-October in southern Wisconsin is different than mid-October in Indiana or Iowa. Or the rut phase goes up and down with where you're at. I'm sure in a lot of places that November 15th thing is more like November 25th and starting October 25th, you know. But here, right here, I see the October 15th to November 15th thing. So we went and did the Battle of the Bows right after that bad hit on that buck. Well, coming back from Battle of the Bows, that same doe group, another doe, a big buck comes around, and I mean a good one. And I've seen this buck for a couple seasons now. Now last year I didn't pay much attention to him because I tagged out early. But the year before he was a good buck. And now he's back and he's really big. And I was going to move in for that buck. And I moved in and he was real active. He was picking them up on the cameras all around the doe groups on the farm. I put a trail camera down here, a cell cam, and it was going nuts. And the other day I came down here and had an opportunity to shoot a big buck about a week ago. Didn't get him. And I left town, went and did a challenge, and on my way back that camera started going nuts again. All kinds of little bucks and one monster buck. Big heavy frame. And I've got him on film, on camera, the last 2 days, several times, and this morning going in there. So I'm hopeful. The trouble is it's the wrong wind. He's bedding down there and the wind is blowing like this. My axis is over there. So today I came in along the edge of the neighbor's property and snuck around this little bedding area up here real quietly. And I never come in that way. And man, as it tore up with sign coming out of here, going that way. And there's heavy trails through here. Come in here and the trees are ripped up with rubs and stuff. Even up there there's scrapes, rubs, giant poopies. I don't know how I'm going to do this. But the wind ain't going to change and I need to get in here now while it's hot. So I'm thinking with the wind like this, I got to wrap around this corner and get along that edge and go in because I think he's in there a little further. Now I'm going to have to be super quiet. This is a very risky thing I'm trying, but high risk, high reward. That buck, I believe, is bedding right now about 50 or 60 yards from us, just inside of those trees. I couldn't get along that tree line. It's just, it made too much noise. The problem is the wind is blowing right at him. I checked flags, I checked the weather, I studied different weather channels. The wind is going almost directly west with just a tinge of north. And that is west. That's where he's bedded. But the way this valley's laying, the wind up top when I was walking in here was directly towards that bed. I got down in here, I came in real slow. I kept checking the wind, and it never gets over there. It always whips around and goes back that way. I couldn't get Milkweed to go there in 20 minutes to sneak into this tree. So I'm going to take it that terrain is pulling that northwest a little more north over here, and it's going to give me a shot window. It's going to be a just off wind. Cross your fingers. The stand is only 2 sticks off the ground. I can reach it from ground level. That's what I got to do. You can't get up into anything. There's nothing here. And ground level, their vitals are going to be blocked by all this crap. So I have to be in a tree at least a little bit elevated. This is going to give me a shot right down to where that buck walks out. That's what I believe. There's a possibility he walks out over here.
And I do have a shot window this way, but it's a longer shot. We'll see. I'm really hoping he comes out over here. That's what I think he'll do. But that's where the wind is risky. The deer come out right there. I'm gonna have my shot right there.
I think he's living in the back, because I sat there yesterday and I could see the whole area and he never showed. The does came out, he didn't. So today I'm going to go in the back, drop down into the valley. We finally got that south-southwest wind. It's a critical wind for this spot, and I'm real excited about this spot. We got a cell cam down there and it went dead 2 weeks after we put it down. I snuck back here really quiet. I came in over there. This whole area is surrounded by buck bedding. The only way I can get in here is if it's a southwest wind and I come wind to nose. I came into backside yesterday. I hunted about 300 or 400 yards that way, and a lot of deer came from this way, that way. Today, I have a just off wind for this side. I circled around, ran in from the side. The wind's a little closer than I like. Checking on top of the hill, it seemed like a little better like this. Getting in here, it's more like this. The deer are bedded over there. It's pretty close. There is a real big scrape right over there, and that's pretty fresh. And it's got big tracks in it, so I don't know. But just see what happens. Here's where I think they're bedding. It's all around the perimeter of that grassy area. That grass is deeper than it looks. It's over my head. There's good beds underneath those bushes and stuff in there, little trees, and real good buck bedding on this edge here. And over in that corner, my wind is going like this. So it seems to correct itself and blow off to that side when it gets to the opening. So it kind of blows the wrong way here, but if you look, I don't know if you can see it floating way out there. When it gets into the field, it catches the actual wind direction in the opening and ends up blowing that way. So even though right here it feels like it's dead wrong, and sometimes it looks like it's dead wrong, it does correct itself at the field. But if I get one to walk in right here at this grass, I better get an arrow in it quick, because he's going to get me before that wind turns. That's the good thing about milkweed. I can see that anything down here will win me, but out in that grass it probably won't.
this tree got set up with her bedded there, that's only 30 yards, if that, maybe 25 where she got up. It's directly downwind of me. And she ain't alert at all.
Lo and behold, my neighbor wings him. Gut shot him, never found him. And so then we'd never seen him again on the cameras. But it goes to show you the timing thing again. If that deer's up and active, moving around like that, and there's a lot of hunters around, and there's a lot of hunters around me, there's a good chance somebody else is watching them, somebody else gets an arrow in them. So then I got this camera out on a point where some does bed. And all of a sudden, some bucks start hanging around. And then a decent 10-pointer. I mean, it wasn't a monster, but it was a good 10. And he shows up a couple days in a row. Tried to get Ricky to go over and hunt it, and it just kept showing, and I thought, I'm going in for it. I went in, but you know, most of the pictures were at night. So they're just before daylight, just after dark. But then he started getting to like where he came in, you know, like 8 in the morning, well after daylight. So right away, knowing it ain't gonna last long, I moved in.
This point, it's one of the points we do on the workshop in the spring where we take the hunters out and show them where we hunt. I haven't hunted this point in a few years, but I put a camera in there this year to monitor what was going on when they were bedding here. And it really has been pretty stagnant except for a ton of does. Until this last week, a 10-pointer showed up and he's been in here just about daily. And I'm trying to just take a breather here. I'm about 75 yards short of where I want to sit and 75 yards short of the beds. So I'm trying to go in really slow. I got a good windy day. I don't know if you can hear that. Here's wind. I got a straight south wind. I'm coming in on the south side. I mean on the north side. I can slip up a tree and blow my wind over those cattails where there isn't even really trails. It's all water. And I can cover this whole point. But I'm going to have to go in really slow and not spook anything. Now, I don't think that buck's been bedding right here. I think he's been bedding further back. Got an inkling he's on the island over here. But this morning, he was here at almost 8 o'clock this morning, 7 something. And he may have bedded right here because of that. But he may have, just in daylight, walked all the way to the island. I'm going to give it a sit tonight, and I'm going to try and get out here in the morning. I don't know what's going on yet, but if I don't get him tonight, I think there's a good chance he comes in tomorrow morning. All right, I think I got him here pretty clean. Nothing busted out of here. Something could have got him left slow, but nothing ran out of here. I got good wind noise, and I got good wind direction. I think I slid in here pretty undetected. I mean, you never know. Something could jump out of any of this brush in here, but nothing did. This land piece goes to a point here and ends right there 75 yards from me, and the beds are right underneath those trees. I've seen a lot of bucks bed there and a lot of doe groups bed there. And right here is where the camera's picking up all those does, and some of my camera's right in those bushes there, pointing over there. I'm missing this whole section, and there's heavy trails going around the camera over here. And the only decent rub I spotted so far is over here on that trail, which doesn't go anywhere near there. But that 10-pointer walked right through here this morning. It's been going through here in the evenings, going this way. So, direction of travel is coming from that island. There's nowhere to bed until you get to that island. So he's either bedding at that island or he's bedding up in here. One of the two. So let's hope he moves early enough to kill him. Or that he bedded right here because he was here at like 8 this morning. But he didn't show. So sitting in that stand, looking at the pictures and where they were coming from, I could see a trail in the cattails, and I could look out and I could see that trail coming out of the water, and there's only one landmass out there that could hold the bedding. And it's out quite a ways, and you can look at that trail from the tree and see it going right to that landmass. So, next logical thing
was to go out to that island. But with my work schedule, I couldn't get out in the morning, and I thought I really needed to be there in the morning. But I knew I didn't have much time, so I pushed it, went for an evening hunt.
Gonna be fun coming out of here in the dark. It's a mile trek. This water is cool because you know they're not bedding in the water. But I also know that there's bucks coming from this direction. I got them on trail cam over here in just after dark. There's really only one area they could be bedding in. It's a matter of if I spook them or not going in. I might, but slow and easy. Get in there and try and set up while he's in there. We got a good wind day. Should cover my noise a little bit. The wind direction is good. When you go through these cattails and you're walking in the water like this, there's a lot of deep spots because the buck's hooves crash through the mat and down into the silt below. So when you're walking, you don't want to walk directly on the trails. You want to take your feet and you want to duck walk. And what I mean by that is you walk to the sides of the trail, you sweep your foot and you put it over the top of the cattails and you step on the cattail roots so that you're not stepping into weakened spots where there are no roots. Like this. If I stepped right there in the middle, I'd go down to my waist. I made it back to the only piece of dry ground in the direction the deer is coming from. This is where I suspect he's bedding, like probably just into the cattails. I'm a little worried now though because where I came in, there's a pretty heavy trail coming in from that way. So I'm kind of wishing I would have double teamed with Eric because Eric's hunting with me but in a different spot. He could have sat over there. There's a good rub line coming in. I still think he's back here and I got to come back here to cover this end. He could just be doing this during the day when he's milling around in here. So he's going around, but I'd much rather have Eric on that tip to cover this. But this is right in the core, and I'm not even to where I think he's coming through. And there's big rubs in here all over the place. So hopefully tonight's the night. We're just going to try and slip in here in one of these trees right here. Probably like right there, where I can cover that end and this end. And the wind's kind of going that way. I might have to go a little further that way. I'm going to have to look at the wind. But we're just going to ease in here a little bit over to here, check the wind, and then get up a tree. But these trails coming through here with all these rubs got me a little nervous. He could be coming from that way. If he is, I'm screwed. But there are some beds over here that are dried up from earlier this year, and they're about the same age as the rubs. So I'm thinking he may have shifted over here. So these rubs are not tacky. They're about 2 weeks old, and so are those beds. Now the leaves have come down, the grass is dead. I think he moved, but he's probably someplace really close. I'm gonna try and only get about another 15 yards, and I'm gonna get up a tree. Well, I got a couple more steps, and now I'm really convinced nobody else has been hunting back here. At least not this year. And that's because I can see a shed antler laying right there. Looks like a fairly decent one. Could even be after the buck I'm hunting. Literally. It's a pretty good one. I'm set up. It is not perfect. The wind's a little too south. I thought it would be more south, maybe tinging a little west. It seems to be almost tinging a little east. But I can see one heavy, fresh rub right there. You can see it's really dark red, like it's fresh, hasn't faded at all. It's right on this main trail. That I know from scouting that loops into a lot of bedding along the area over there in the cattails. They come to a point there and come over here, and those trails go into here, and those poplars over there are where I've been getting that buck at night just after dark going this way, and in the morning just before light and just after light coming this way. So this is the only piece of dry land over here he could be bedding on. So he's got to be bedding in here somewhere, and his rubs are everywhere. And then we found that shed antler right there. My biggest worry is they come in here and they smell me. But the trail comes in from over there, and my wind's going this way, and it's pretty brisk. Hopefully I don't get a swirler, and if he gets to where that rub is, he's in range. So hopefully this one works out. It seems like a pretty good setup. Well, I have no idea where the trail is. According to my compass, I go that way. I am in a nasty jungle in pitch black. Could be worse. I could be dragging a deer, right?
So coming down from the stand after that evening hunt, I see this light, across the cattails, all the way across. And the guy is coming down out of a tree right where my camera is. So somebody else got in there. So it's public land, people can do that. So I grabbed my stuff, started heading back. I get back to the truck, and there's a guy carrying my doe that the buck's been chasing around over his shoulders, drops it at his vehicle. His girlfriend's waiting for him. I was kind of bummed out because he shot my bait, my doe. So I congratulated him. He was real excited about his doe, and went about my way. And I didn't see that 10-pointer on that camera again, ever. Then at that same time, a big 10-pointer shows up at Dave's farm. Never seen this one before, ever. First, he's coming into front at early morning hours, and then I got him in the middle of the day in the back, both at doe bedding areas. So I jumped in and started hunting him.
Every year, Rod, this spot just gets fired up, but it's hard to hunt because of the wind. I got a southeast today, which I think is the best for this spot. I got stuck doing some chores at home and got out here a little late. I got out here around the southeast, which is perfect for this spot. It's like an open hole down in a thick area. Wish the deer could surprise you, but because the leaves are dry, I'll hear them coming, which is a good thing. We're down to the last 15 minutes, and I just heard large antlers on brush over there. I keep hearing branches breaking there. Southeast, maybe southwest, going like that. And even that ain't good, because they seem to get around you everywhere in here. But this area gets so hot around rut that I try to push the limits a little. Once a year, I've had some really good success down here. So I only come in here a time or two a year. I had a permanent stand. 2 trees over about 10 yards. And a little while ago, 2 fawns, a fawn doe and a fawn buck, slipped in behind me, and I didn't hear them till they were underneath me, and I couldn't move. And the buck kept looking in the tree where I had to stand last year. Rick hunted out of that stand once, and I hunted out. No, that was it. It was just Rick, because I filled my tag early season. So Rick hunted out of there one day last year. Put that stand up and left it in that tree. That buck fawn came out of the bedding area back here, staring at that tree, looking at it, went over, looked for the sticks, smelled the tree, turned around, saw the sticks in this tree, got a shocked look on his face. Then he snuck over to this tree, smelled the sticks, smelled where I walked, smelled all around, looked up and down the tree, saw me in the tree, wasn't spooked by it, just kind of nervously walked away. The doe fawn was more nervous than him, but it was interesting that they noticed that I moved the stand from that tree to this tree. They knew that stand was there, even though it was only hunted once last year. recognized the sticks weren't there anymore. But then he saw them over here and he came to this tree. That's very interesting. These deer sometimes, we give them more credit than they're worth, people say. But they also, every now and then, show you out just how smart they really are. Even for a fawn, that they knew right where that tree was. It was hunted once and the stand was left there for this season and then moved because the trails got too close to it. Interesting morning so far. I came in here an hour before light to get to the tree before the deer got in here because it's mainly just a bedding area. And when I walked into the timber, it sounded like a stampede, deer blowing, crashing. Not good. I heard one run down into the swamp, and I could hear antlers on the brush for sure. But I was in here yesterday, and I had so much action in the evening. It was unreal. It was constant action. And I had bucks, from here to halves and 2.5s going by constantly. And I could hear something big in the bedding area grunting and chasing a doe around. And a lot of the younger bucks, like there's a 100-incher that came over here and he kept trying to go in there into the bedding area. But he kept coming running back out, looking over his shoulder. I'm sure that was a big buck. I heard him attack a tree for a little bit. It sounded like pretty good size antlers. Now I kind of busted the area up this morning. Maybe I should have waited for another evening hunt, but I thought I could beat him in here. Hopefully something still comes cruising through because there had to be a hot doe in here yesterday. Maybe they'll still be looking for her. I had some things I had to do today. So it kind of forced me to hunt someplace I could get to quick. So I'm back at Dave's farm. Get one last try for that big 10-pointer. He's been in here. I hunted the other side a couple times. I'm hoping he's going through here. I see some new big fresh rubs over here. So hopefully he's coming through here. That's right where that doe was coming through last time I was down here. So good possibility he's after that doe now. Now I've had does bedding right there, and I had a doe bedding right there, and there's does bedding further back. There's a lot of does in this area, so it's been bringing the bucks in. But there's a lot of young bucks too, like 2-year-olds and stuff that could have been making those rubs over there. They do look kind of high up. But it is real quiet out, and they could be anywhere around me, so I'm going to just shut up and get ready.
When that timing thing was running out with the big 10-pointer, I was going to give it like one last crack, and me and Rick went in, and Rick was going to hunt the front of the farm and me the back, and we get to where Rick's going to hunt. We look up and we see a deer in the field. Me and Rick are over at Dave's farm. We're going to split up here. He's going to hunt the front of the farm. I'm going to hunt the back. We're heading back right now. What do you think?
Looking good, especially with the doe down there.
Oh, she just took off. Look at that. Where's she going?
I don't even know which way where she went.
She went back into the bushes. She should be heading up over the hill. She didn't really run, she just kind of... I don't see her now. She's up on the hill up there. Not too sure if it was a doe, but it looked like a doe. So I dropped Rick off at the stand, and I didn't get 10 yards from him towards where I saw that deer disappear. And I was pretty sure that that was a buck. I couldn't see a doe standing out there. Rick kept saying a doe, and I thought, well, maybe it's a small buck. Well, I got a little closer, and the buck got back up again. And I could see it was like a fork horn or a spike, and it trotted off. And then another one come out of the woods, and it had a rack, but all the tines were busted off. It looked at me and ran into the grass and stopped, and then came walking back at me, marching at me, and was coming closer and closer, and I'm like, what the heck? And then right in front of me, a doe gets up and runs to the north, and alongside of her jumps up a big buck, a big 8-pointer. And he takes off after her, and then another rack buck jumps up, and the fork horn and the broken rack go over the hill, and the new buck and the 8-pointer chase the doe into the cornfield, and I run across the cornfield, and at one point the 8-pointer turned and went after the little buck, and then he went after the doe again. Hopefully he gets eyes on him that's wide open over there, and they come back, because that doe is probably living right across from him in that bedding area. There's a doe over there that lives there. I think that's her. So she might just run right back over there. I mean, there's even a chance they run over here. I'm not that far away. And when I came back here, when I came around the corner over here and came back here, a big lone deer that looked like a doe came running over the hill into this stuff. So they are active right now. So this is a really good funnel. So hopefully they come through here. There's a really good bedding area right here. And every time I've sat here, I've sat up there on northerly winds and let the wind just carry my scent out of here. Never bothered this area. And every time the same doe and fawns came through here. So last time was about 6 days ago. So I'm hoping that she doesn't have her fawns no more, and that now she pulls a buck through here. So I did notice some new rubs in here when I came in here. That big 10-pointer was seen over here, but it was seen by Rick too. It certainly wasn't with the doe that was being chased. So hopefully he's over here.
Now I think I know that big 8-pointer. I think I remember seeing him last year. There was a big 8 like that last year, but he just came around during rut. So I figure he's back with these does, and I'm thinking that doe is probably going to come back and bed back in that area. So then I started hopping around there again.
So I set up on top here where a bunch of corners come together. There ain't a lot of sign here, but historically I've seen some deer go through here. Even yesterday, some of the bucks that ran right through this corner. The corn just got cut, and there's a really good scrape right over here that's fresh, and some tracks going up and down this edge. And historically, they bed over here and come through here. So we're gonna give her a try and see what happens. I can see some rubs, one there, one over there, that look fairly fresh. There's a good trail network underneath me. And back this way, I'm not going to point the camera there because it's right into the sun. About 150 yards is where I jumped that doe with 4 bucks yesterday, including one shooter. I have to turn around to look, but I can see that area very well. If the doe comes out of there with those bucks and tail today, because I believe that's where she's living, right in that area. We had a doe in there with fawns. Now the fawns are gone. Well, the fawns are still over there, but alone. And she was there yesterday with those bucks. I'd have to imagine she keeps running back in there for security, because that's her little home turf. But trying to figure out which way she'd come out of there. It's really tough with this north wind, because any side but the other side the wind blows right in there. I'm hoping that if they come out, they come this way. I don't think they're going to go the other way because they cut all the beans and there's really nothing over there. There is some clover that they eat, so it was tempting to give that a shot. But I decided to come back here, and if they do move out of there, I should see them. I should get an eyeball on them. I got the binoculars along, so I can see a long distance from where I'm at. Hopefully I can either kill them or get some intel by seeing them. And that helps me make a good positive move.
Didn't see him or the Big Ten. They both disappeared, which I don't think they're both from that farm. I think they came there for the does. So then, watching that camera that's on that point, where that 10-pointer was, all does, the occasional little buck, all of a sudden, all these little bucks coming in there. And then one decent high-tined 8 or 9-pointer. So I went in to do a hunt there, and first I asked Rick if he wanted to go. He wouldn't go. Said he wasn't interested. Okay, Rick. So I went out there.
I'm on a point in a cattail marsh point that goes out into the cattails off of a big mainland. And there's some bedding right off the tip here. And the bedding is only maybe 70 yards from me. It's held bucks in the past, but as of right now, I think it's holding a doe group. And I think they're in it right now. I really had to sneak back here. I got a little bit of wind cover, and that's a good thing. So the leaves come out here were crunchy, but I went real slow. So I do have a trail camera here down in this tree right there. And that trail camera has told me that the doe that's down in here, one of the does, is in heat. And there's a whole bunch of bucks coming in to visit her. Now, only one of them looks like a shooter, and barely. And probably something I wouldn't actually target. But I also know that that camera is only covering one little view. And the few times I get the doe on camera, she's running through and I don't see what's right behind her. And I would have an inkling that every giant buck in the area is going to be with her if she's hot. So I'm hoping something really big comes in. You know, I did notice two really big fresh rubs in here, and the camera's down here pointing that way. And it's just getting what goes through the grass, but there's just some runways going through here, and even some big rubs back in here on this side. I mean, look at that runway over there. That don't even go by the camera. So we've only got a couple hours till dark. I really didn't have much time, but ran out for what I have. It'd be a better morning spot, but timing is really key. The bucks are here now. This ain't gonna wait 2 days till I have a morning. And we do have a front coming in tonight. It's just starting to come in. That's what's picking up the wind. So I'm excited about this. I think something will show. Whether or not I see something I want to shoot is a whole different story. We'll see. But knowing what I saw on the cameras at least makes the hunt exciting. I sit here on my toes watching, right? But hopefully there's something real big in the area.
I had buck after buck come in. And right at closing time, that buck showed, and he came in real slow. And by the time he got to me, it was too dark to shoot, ethically or legally. So I just let him go. But it was a cool experience.
Today I wandered back into the spot where I shot the big buck in the spine and didn't get it. That was right over there, that opening. I was contemplating going in a little further and wrapping around and going over there. And I might do that a different day. But that buck, when I tracked him, walked right back through here into that bedding area. And now it looks like his tracks everywhere in here again. So I think he might still be here. If he's not, there's another one. And when I ran trail cameras in here before season, I got pictures of a lot of shooters. So the main buck bedding area, in my opinion, is right there. It's a big area. They can come out of there several ways. But I think for the most part, a lot of them are coming out this way. So if they're in there and they come out this way, that'd be great. If not, Ricky's on the other side. And man, they'd have to slip somewhere close enough to you so you probably hear them, I would think. Unless they went onto the ridge over here. And that's a death sentence because that ridge is hardwoods. And everybody hunts there, and this is a very popular area, but nobody gets down in here. We did, when we got to the parking lot, there was a guy coming out in a climber in front of us. And I just waited and let him get all the way back here so he wouldn't see where we go. But I don't consider him a threat. He's a non-threat because where the big bucks are, you ain't getting no climber. I'm back in this tree here with one stick. I'm barely off the ground. A couple people in the first video said, "Hey, how come you're not hunting off the ground? Look at the ground. It is wide open." These buckthorn trees are small at the bottom, as you can see, and they get into tangles when they get up high. So to get into a tangle or to have cover and it be natural, you have to get up into these buckthorn trees. Otherwise, in my opinion, you're more likely to get spotted on the ground. I can get up into this tree by just getting 6 feet off the ground. I just had a bunch of jays making noise in there, real close, and I heard a grunt.
So now we're on the verge of gun season now, and I'm starting to amp up for gun season, which is next Saturday, but I'm still pounding with the bow. And last night I went out and tried to get on that big 8 or 10, and I saw a good buck coming through the brush in front of me, coming in where I believe both of them are hanging around that big doe group, and I was excited. It didn't look like he was going to come to me, so I grunted to him, and I was actually able to turn him around and get him coming in. He just wasn't what I was looking for. Through the brush, he looked a lot bigger than that. When I just saw glimpses of an animal going through and I saw some antlers,